All right, let's dive right in. We're tackling a subject today that, according to our sources, isn't just some abstract theological idea. It's a reality we're all living in every single day. We're talking about spiritual warfare. But, probably not the way you're used to thinking about it. This isn't about the Hollywood special effects. It's about a very real and very personal battle that's happening on a battlefield you might not even realize exists. I mean, have you ever had that feeling? You wake up, and for absolutely no reason you can name, there's just this weight, a sense of dread or anxiety that you just can't shake. It feels totally random. But what if it's not? What if you literally woke up in the middle of an invisible conflict? Well, the sources we're looking at today suggest that, yeah, you have. They argue that those feelings, that mental static, that unexplained pressure, are actually the skirmishes of a constant spiritual battle. And the one piece of territory they're fighting over, it's your mind. So let's start right there. Let's define this battlefield. Because the conflict we're talking about isn't happening out there somewhere. No, it's intensely personal. It's internal. This verse right here, it's a total game changer. It basically tells us to stop looking at other people as the enemy. That person who cut you off, that frustrating coworker, they aren't the real issue. Our struggle is against these cosmic powers, and the sources describe these as a real, organized hierarchy of unseen forces. The main takeaway is that the real fight, the one that actually matters, isn't physical at all. It's spiritual. Okay, so what does this battle actually look like in our day-to-day lives? Well, according to the source material, it looks a lot like our most common struggles. It's that nagging voice telling you you're not smart enough, not good enough. It's the constant what-if scenarios that anxiety throws at you. It's that sudden, out-of-nowhere feeling of being completely and totally overwhelmed. These aren't just bad moods. They're identified as the front lines in the war for your mind. Look, if you're going to be in a fight, you've got to understand how your opponent thinks. So this next part is all about breaking down the enemy's strategic playbook. This is such a critical insight. We tend to think about spiritual warfare in terms of a power war, like some big supernatural brawl. But the sources are really clear. The primary weapon being used against you isn't raw force. It's deception. The goal isn't to overpower you. It's to persuade you, to trick you into believing a lie. And this verse from John just nails it down. It says, the enemy's fundamental character isn't about strength, it's about falsehood. Lying is his native language. So if his main strategy is deception, then our fight has to be a fight for what's true. It's a truth war. So the sources boil down these tactics into 4 basic moves. First, you've got deception, making something that's actually really harmful look totally harmless. Then there's discouragement, that constant whisper that you're worthless and you should just give up. Third is distraction, which is huge today, right? Keeping you so busy with the trivial that you forget what's truly important. And finally, division, maybe the most dangerous of all, planting suspicion and bitterness to cut you off from the very people who can help you. And this right here really clarifies the whole thing. On the right, that's the power war. That's the horror movie version. But on the left, that's the truth war. That's the real daily battle we're actually in. It's fought with lies and accusations, and the battlefield is your mind and what you choose to believe. Okay, so we know where the battle is, and we know the enemy's main strategy is lies. So, now what? Let's talk about the solution. What kind of equipment do we have for this fight? When the Bible talks about putting on the armor of God, it's so easy to just think of that as some nice, poetic idea. But the sources we're looking at insist, no. This is practical, spiritual survival gear. Each piece has a very specific job to do in your daily life. Let's actually walk through this because it's so important. First up, the belt of truth. And this isn't just knowing facts. It's about living with radical honesty and integrity. Next, the breastplate of righteousness. This is what guards your heart when those lies of shame and accusation come flying at you. Then, the shoes of peace, which give you a firm footing when everything else feels like chaos. The shield of faith, this is your active defense. You use it to intercept and extinguish all those flaming arrows of doubt and fear. The helmet of salvation is absolutely critical. It protects your mind, the main battlefield, by reminding you that the final victory is already yours. And last but not least, the sword of the Spirit, which is actually your only offensive weapon. And that brings us to the active part of this. See, it's not enough to just stand there and defend. We're also called to engage, to push back. Just look at the language here.
Our weapons have divine power to destroy strongholds. And what are these strongholds? The verse tells us. They're arguments, they're lofty opinions. It again frames this whole thing as a battle of ideas, a truth war, where our spiritual weapons are designed to tear down the lies that try to hold us captive. Now this is a radical rethinking of prayer for a lot of us. We tend to see it as a nice little spiritual add-on, something we do to prepare for the real fight. But the sources here argue that prayer is the fight. It's your direct line to your commander. It isn't just asking for help. It's a strategic, powerful act of war. And here it is, that offensive weapon we talked about, the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And why is it offensive? Because truth doesn't just block a lie, it demolishes it. It actively pushes back the darkness and reclaims territory in your mind. And there's one last weapon that is so crucial we can't miss it: each other. Remember that enemy strategy of division? The most powerful way to counter it is with community. You were never, ever meant to fight this battle on your own. Having people in your corner isn't optional. It is an essential piece of your defense. Okay, this brings us to the final section. And honestly, it might be the most important mindset shift in this whole explainer. This changes everything. One of our sources, Chip Ingram, uses this incredible analogy. He says to imagine a huge war, where the final, decisive battle has already been fought. The peace treaty is signed, the war is officially over, victory has been declared. But out on some remote islands, there are enemy soldiers who haven't gotten the news, and they're still firing off mortars. The outcome of the war is not in doubt, but the daily skirmishes are still very, very real. And that is the mindset shift. On the left, you have fighting for victory. That's where it all depends on you. It's exhausting, it's desperate, and it's filled with fear. But on the right, you have fighting from victory. This is where the ultimate outcome has already been decided. You're not trying to win a war that might be lost. You are simply defending territory that has already been won for you. And this verse is the basis for all that confidence. This is the signed peace treaty. It says that on the cross, Jesus disarmed all those enemy powers. He publicly defeated them. Their ultimate power is broken. It's a done deal. So here's the bottom line. The big war, it's over. It's finished. But the daily skirmishes for the territory of your mind, those are going to continue. And our job is to stand firm, use our gear, and defend the ground that's already been secured. And that just leaves us with one final thought. The sources make it clear that your mind is incredibly valuable, contested territory. It's a space worth protecting. So the only question left is, knowing the battle is real and knowing the ultimate victory is secure, are you ready to defend it?